Romeo gets treated like the deep one. He is not. Juliet is younger, and she often sees the situation faster and more clearly than he does.
Yes, that matters because people flatten Romeo and Juliet into pure romance, and then they miss a basic fact. Romeo is impulsive and wordy. Juliet is often the one doing the hard thinking.
So this is not just Juliet is impressive for her age.
No, it is sharper than that. Inside the same reckless plot, Juliet is more focused, more practical, and more intellectually alert. She is not less emotional. She is just less foggy.
Start with the obvious place. When they meet, people remember the shared sonnet and decide they are equal in style and feeling.
But even there, Juliet is quick on the uptake. Romeo arrives loaded with borrowed love language from his Rosalind phase. Juliet responds cleanly. She can play the verbal game, but she does not drown in it.
And the balcony scene is where the cliché really takes over. People hear romance and stop listening.
Exactly. Romeo talks in elevated images. Juliet cuts toward the problem. What is a name? What are they actually doing? How can this work in the real world? She keeps dragging the scene out of mist and into terms.
She questions everything as it happens.
Constantly. She does not just feel. She interrogates the feeling. She asks why Romeo has to be Romeo. She tests whether language matches reality. Then she pushes further. If your purpose is marriage, send word tomorrow. That is not dreamy. That is procedural.
That is a big contrast. Romeo is saying, I love you. Juliet is saying, what is the plan?
Right. She wants terms, timing, proof. She knows passion without structure is dangerous. Romeo wants to leap straight from desire to eternity. Juliet keeps trying to pin the moment down before it spins out.
Give a concrete example of her speaking more directly than he does.
The balcony scene again. Romeo circles her with comparisons and vows. Julia says, if you mean marriage, say so. If not, stop. That is much plainer speech. She strips away performance and asks for an answer.
And she does that elsewhere too. She is not only clear in private romance.
No. Look at her with the nurse. Juliet gets impatient with delay because delay has consequences. She wants facts. Has Romeo sent word? What is the arrangement? The nurse rambles and teases. Juliet has no patience for useless suspense when the stakes are this high.
So, Juliet is not just clever in language. She is good at identifying what matters under pressure.
Yes, she sorts signal from noise. That is one reason she can seem older than Romeo, even though she is younger. He often gets lost in his own emotional weather. She keeps trying to work out the conditions on the ground.
There is also the moment after Tybalt is killed. That is a stress test.
And she passes it faster than Romeo would. At first she is torn. Tybalt is dead, and Romeo killed him. But she thinks through the conflict. She recognizes the horror, then sees the larger threat. Romeo is banished. Their whole future is now under attack.
Where Romeo, by contrast, collapses.
He absolutely does. In Friar Lawrence's cell, Romeo hears banishment and acts as if language itself has ended. He throws himself on the floor. He talks about death. The friar has to drag him back toward action. Juliet suffers just as much, but she remains more coherent.
That coherence is easy to miss, because the tragedy is so famous that people treat Juliet as the passive half of the pair.
Which is just bad reading. Juliet makes assessments. She revises her view when facts change. She negotiates risk. When her father tries to force her into marriage with Paris, she does not stand there waiting to be interpreted. She goes to the friar to find a way out.
And even there, she is direct about the stakes.
Very direct. She is not asking for comfort. She is asking for a workable alternative. If there is no answer, she is ready to die rather than be trapped. That is not softness. That is a brutal statement of her options, inside a house that has stopped listening to her.
So why does her intelligence not save her? If she sees more clearly, why does she still die?
Because clear thinking is not the same as power. Juliet can judge the situation better than Romeo, but she cannot control the adults, the feud, the timetable, or the message system. A smart person can still lose in a badly built world.
That is important. Her problem is not stupidity. It is compression.
Exactly. Everything is rushed. Secret marriage, street violence, banishment, forced remarriage, failed communication. Juliet thinks clearly, but she is working inside a trap that keeps narrowing. Intelligence helps her respond. It does not dissolve the trap.
And we should not overcorrect and turn her into some flawless strategist either.
No. She is still reckless. She agrees to secrecy. She trusts a desperate plan. She is young. But the point is not that Juliet is perfect. The point is that she is often the one seeing the danger, while Romeo is busy turning feeling into speech.
So, the usual reading gets the pair wrong. Romeo is not the mature lover, and Juliet the innocent child.
Not on the page. Juliet is often the clearer mind in the room. She questions, defines, and decides. Her tragedy is not that she fails to think. It is that clear thought is still not enough when the world around her is violent, hurried, and deaf.
That is the real correction. Juliet is not the soft center of the play. She is one of the sharpest minds in it, and the play kills her anyway.